I set an intention at the beginning of this year to really reduce and minimize the amount of titillating YouTube doom scrolling that I do. That I could post on here creatively, but I would make an effort to try and reduce the amount of personal consumption. And like most people this time of year, I f***ed up, guys. But that being said, I managed to catch a glimpse and stumble across the recent presidential inauguration ceremony and the modern spectacle of our cousins across the pond. And it didn't take long before I found the clip of everyone's favourite cyber boffin, Elon Musk, catching some heat for a supposed Nazi gesture he did during his celebratory speech. So it was safe to say I wasn't disappointed by the shit show spectacle. I guess my question is, when are we going to find better archetypal villains to assimilate and accompany modernity's lust for that ultimate evil personified? 80 years later, and we're still recycling the narrative, perhaps even when it's not serving our collective unconscious, nor the collective dialogue within modernity. If it is truly peace, tolerance, and harmony we're seeking to find as a collective.
But you said it was what the world be!
I believe most rational people, regardless of your political stance, nor your investment in this spectacle, think they can all see and agree on some level that this is just a routine attempt at lowbrow media sensationalising. In their far-reaching in order to sell, perhaps they've confused the ism with a little bit of tism. Our fellow Elon Musk is somewhat seen as the archetypal awkward genius character. His brain power and brain bandwidth could run on 7G, but his body presence and charisma is still using WAP technology. To expect him to have enough kinesthetic awareness in the circumstances, in the exposure, is absolutely daft. The rigidity in his body is evident, and bless him, probably only has a few movements and gestations that he can probably call upon in total. And if you think about it, it's just like the archetypical idea of dad dancing. It's not that dad doesn't like dancing, it's not that dad can't dance, it's that dad can't find the beat or the rhythm because of the concentration and brain power that's needed to recall the moods that he's comfortable or semi-comfortable after 6 pints trying to pull out of the bag. Too much of his energy is focused on the movement and not enough on its function, which makes it awkward, makes it appear uncomfortable to view. Your first thought when you look at it isn't, look at this horrendous composure from my dad. Is he trying to sabotage and ruin my wedding or my birthday? Is there some secret affiliation to ugly and grotesque viewpoints on body movement and dancing? Is there something behind this? No, you just go, Dad's having a good time. He's letting himself go. He's owning the awkwardness and the rigidity. Go on, Dad. I'm glad you're having a good time. Bless him. But in come the f***ing experts with a fine-tooth comb to dig through the play-by-play, seasoned with salt and cured in an agenda. When learning any movement, we first learn the form, so then we can explore its function. Think of a baby. So much energy and movement is required to stand up through their legs, drive through their legs and find their centre of balance, find that form. And then once they are aware of that form, they then explore the function. You see kids get up, often stand up onto their feet when they start doing that. There's so much function, so much utility in what they can do because of this form. That's how we learn everything. I love me a bit of martial arts. And in karate, we have the ridge hand. And to understand this takes a bit of time. So first of all, if you're teaching it to anyone, you have to teach the form in its rigid and structured way. But having confidence, competence and exposure to the form, you learn to rid the rigidity of it and find its fluidity and its function. However, when teaching it and when perfecting the form, we always go back to that rigid state. For those that don't know what the ridge hand strike is in karate and how it will be taught if you're a complete beginner, allow me to show you. So I'm in there and I'm going to practice my ridge hand because I've got proficiency in it, because I've done it for a while. If someone coming in, combative energy, I might have to throw the ridge hand, nice connection and strike, whatever, all that shit. But if I'm breaking down the movement to practice it form, there's some controversial gestures that's going to happen as I'm practicing. Now this is okay, maybe some styles you practice the form so the shoulder's in line with the finger, and it's a directly straight line. But what if you're practicing it against a taller dude? I'm fairly tall, but what if there's a taller dude and now you're striking up towards their jaw or their temple or their back of the neck? Is this right hand the only thing that's stopping this being clipped into some kind of photoshopped into being someone's political agenda. Imagine being down your local park and you want to practice the ridge hand form. Practicing the form, practicing the form. And all of a sudden I want to keep that form, but my phone goes off and I have to reach into my pocket. But people don't see my hikate hand. They're only seeing this part of the ridge hand, and automatically that movement is then associated with, hey, called karate school in the mall, and they're sitting there practicing their ridge hand strikes. Do we automatically think, we've got to send the US Navy back in there again? You're going to go and see the physio, and if the physio's got you sitting there and you've had frozen shoulder, and they're testing how much range of motion, what do? Do they lift your arm up to here? This is okay. Oh, okay, you're okay there. That's fine. What about a little bit more? A little bit. Oh, no, we can't. Oh, no, not there. What we're going to do is try and get it over shoulder. Get it over your shoulder, because Lord forbid we test your range of motion on this 45 degree. Because if someone walks past or someone gets a still image, well, you're a physiotherapist running a Nazi clinic. It's crazy. We're so robbed of it that we just have to find these things. And of course, these characters are given through the media waves in order to create the polarization. Dad dancing. Dad can't hear the beat. Most of the time in music, you're okay if you just fucking tap your feet. This is stage one of dad dancing. It's just tapping his feet. There's a lot of brain power gone into this because he's rigid and he holds himself in a particular way. He's got no rhythm, right? He's got no... If you ask him to start doing other movements, he's not aware of the beat. I just don't think that there's anything to look beyond the Elon Musk thing other than a guy with a tism being accused of an ism, because he is so rigid that he's probably never had that level of excitement going through his body, this sense of triumph, because he's a cool, composed intellectual who conducts himself with poise and business savvy, right? He's so smart you don't even understand him. And he shows a little bit of what you could say was like human emotion. And it's weird, isn't it? Because he just, as he sort of done it, he then sort of pushed away, tapped the heart, and then pulled out again. You know, probably in his own mind, bless him, just like with most men, when it comes to us being rigid, he's probably got about a million ideas of different movies where he's seen someone do that, he's seen someone do that. He's seen all sorts of cool things in his head, but he can't call upon it in the pressure of the moment. And he's not known as Mr. Suave walking around. He's known as Elon Musk. So what are we expecting from him? But, wow, what a time. We've got 4K, 8K cameras to be able to slow things down bit by bit to try and find secret affiliations of political parties 8 years ago. We need to do better, guys. And do you know what I need to do? I need to actually delete YouTube as a consumer. I'll see you on the creating side.